Today we are testing to see where the national form can perform at club level. We are testing two nations in the English Premier League, the New Zealand All Whites and the Australian Socceroos. Can they perform? How long will they last? Let's find out! Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Maynard and today we are trying something new. We're testing whether the New Zealand All Whites and the Australian Socceroos can actually perform in the English football leagues. So what I have done is I'm going to start a very new game with a custom database across all players in Australia and New Zealand, and we are going to test these players against the very best players in the world in the most competitive league in the world. So without further ado, let's load this puppy up and test it off. Before things progress any further, why don't you let me know where you think these two teams will finish? Are they championship teams? Are they Premier League teams? Are they teams in the League One? It'll be interesting to tell the quality going forward. My prediction is that you'd likely see the Australians probably mid-table championship teams and the Kiwis flirting between the top of League One and relegation teams in the championship. They're my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below and let's kick things off. So we're about to kick off our very first season with our two new clubs. So what we have done, ladies and gentlemen, is we've replaced Burnley with the New Zealand All Whites and we have replaced Brighton with the Australian Socceroos. First things first, let's look at the season preview and see how the media thinks they will perform. Unsurprisingly, both teams expected for relegation. The Socceroos sitting in 19th and the New Zealand All Whites sitting in 20th position. Let's look at their squads quickly. So what I have done is I've added a transfer embargo for the first 3 years of this playthrough. So hopefully that comes through. After that fact, both teams have a club culture of signing players from their own nation. So the All Whites will be looking for New Zealand players and the Socceroos will be looking for Australian players after those 3 years. So what I have done is for both squads, I've added 30 players. Ranging from the best current form to future prospects going forward. So there's 2 players in each position to sign the best 22, and then there's 8 of the highest prospects as per Football Manager and per my own opinion. So there you can see the New Zealand squad there. Arguably their 3 key players for the early few seasons will be Chris Wood, consistent Premier League goal scorer, Ryan Thomas, who's playing in the Eredivisie, and then Winston Reid, a strong Premier League performer who has recently struggled with injuries. And that makes up our New Zealand All White squad. As you can see, a range of age groups ranging from, the experienced elderly statesmen who will probably only be around for a couple of years to the hot prospects that are hopefully going to break through and make a difference for this team. Then if we quickly look back at the Socceroos, similar transfer embargo rules, similar cup culture except to sign Australians once they can rather than Kiwis. And if we look at their squad, similar in the fact that they've got, quite a few key players, Matt Ryan in goal, Aaron Moy in the middle, Tommy Rogic of Celtic fame in the attacking midfield position. You'd argue that Australia has a much stronger squad than New Zealand, so you'd like to see them do better over this experience. In this little experiment, what we're going to do is I'll jump to the 2 games between the 2 teams in year 1, and then we'll fast forward through year 1 to see how they perform, probably expecting relegation from both teams, which will be fine, and then we'll reassess and look at the end of year 1 and do the same for year 2. Then we'll look at the World Cup. Hopefully both teams qualify for the 2022 World Cup, and then we'll simulate the next 4 years after that, a proper second World Cup cycle. And ideally, hopefully what we're seeing is that the club form and the club relationships, both these teams settle at some stage in English football and the 2 national teams meet at that second World Cup, and that will be glorious. So without further ado, let's jump to that first match. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We have simulated to mid-December, where a lot of the Premier League has been played. Let us see how our teams are going. If we quickly load up the Premier League, surprisingly, All Whites are sitting in 18th spot after 13 matches played, with West Brom surprisingly in 19th and then the Socceroos in 20th. Not many points or games won by either of these 3 teams. All Whites with 1 game and 4 draws, the Socceroos 1 game and 1 draw. But the big match is tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully I just didn't skim past it. But what we want to see is how the two teams go against each other in the Premier League. So we will watch that match. It should be hopefully quite enjoyable. Some quite enjoyable viewing as we simulate forward to the next match in the season. And here we are, the big day, as the All Whites look to travel away to Brighton to play the Socceroos club team. Should be quite enjoyable here as we progress to kickoff and the two teams take the field. No national anthems today, as it is purely a club match, as Australia kicks us off running from right to left as per the screen. Just playing around with the highlights, sensitivities here slightly, as Australia launches the first attack down the right and Australia gives away an early free kick. As we go here, Aaron Moy's got the first proper highlight of the match. It's a corner and it's well saved by the New Zealand goalkeeper in Maranovic, who launches a quick counter. Ryan Thomas chasing after the ball, unable to get to it as Australia clears their lines. New Zealand able to retain possession, running it down the right wing here with Costa Barbarouses, whose shot is well and truly wide. Lots going on so far, lots of action in the Premier League. Sorry, just confirming that we're only looking at key highlights. Don't want to waste too much of your time, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like New Zealand's playing in the classic 4-4-2 formation. Let us look at what Australia's playing, as this highlight continues to go. Australia's got the ball in their middle third at the moment. De Silva's making a run, beats one man. Can he beat the second? No, yes he can, and has a shot, but it is well wide of the post. The Socceroos are playing a 4-3-3 formation, but the three central defenders with two wing backs providing width to the squad as they launch their attack down the left wing side. With the ball through Luongo and De Silva, and now back into the defensive mid of Moy. Jurek has the ball in the centre, plays a nice through ball to McLaren, and he slots it past the keeper for the first goal of the match. Maranovic unable to dive down to his left-hand side to save that one. A nicely worked goal by Australia. Some nice interplay in the middle of the park. Aaron Moy instrumental with their hold-up play. Plays it back to Jurek, who plays a lovely through ball to McLaren, who scuffs shot, beats the goalkeeper in the bottom corner. 1-0 Australia so far. All Whites only with the 4 shots. Very low expected goal difference so far, but dominating the foul count as you would expect from a team that probably is the worst team in the competition this season. If we look, well, that's the end of the first half. Australia taking a priceless 1-0 lead in the context of the season. If you look at the live ladder so far, that puts them equal on points if they are able to continue this match and this performance at home. No changes, it looks like, so far in the match of note, apart from it looks like McGarry's come on the left wing for New Zealand. Another highlight here, ladies and gentlemen, as Karacic has the ball out wide. Moy flicks it on to Irvin in the centre. Jurek has the ball, plays to McLaren. Oh, well saved. Oh, the ball's still live, and Australia's unable to take advantage of the second phase of play. A beautiful save by Stefan Maranovic to his right there from McLaren looking for his second. Chris Wood gets the ball launched wide. Ryan Thomas one-on-one with the keeper. Can he slot it? Oh, off the bar, ladies and gentlemen. Singh has the ball out wide and is able to finish. That is why you follow up chances. A quick counter by New Zealand. Traditional long ball football. Chris Wood flicks it on to Ryan Thomas. One-on-one with the keeper. Beats the keeper, but is also beats the goal as it comes back off the post. Sarpreet Singh able to put it away. And it's 1-1 with 20 minutes left to play here, ladies and gentlemen. What happens in the final 20 minutes, nobody knows. Will the two teams settle for the draw in the context of the season? Probably it's not enough for either team to get anywhere near safety. You would assume both teams pushing for that victory as Australia clocks up the shots on target and expected goal difference. 4 minutes left to play. Will there be a final opportunity for either team? And no, there is not. A 1-1 draw, the first match between these two clubs in their first season in the Premier League. It won't be enough, or it doesn't look like it will be enough for their survival. Let us look, ladies and gentlemen, at the next match that these two teams will play. And I will jump to that, so hopefully you can enjoy that as well. If I just look at the Socceroos here, the next game that these two play will be all quite late in the season on the 14th of April. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for the second game of the season for the New Zealand home game against the Socceroos. And as you can see, the trend that we saw after the first game has continued through the first 30 or so matches in the Premier League, with the Socceroos and the New Zealand All Whites pulling up the rear in the English Premier League, with confirmation that the Socceroos have already been relegated after only one victory, a 1-0 win at home against Sheffield United. They managed 5 draws, of which one we have seen against the All Whites, where New Zealand has been a lot more of a defensive side and managed to beat both Southampton and Aston Villa at home, and managed 12 draws this season so far. But without further ado, this will be quite exciting. We can watch the home match for New Zealand and see whether or not there's going to be a victory between the two teams this year, or whether it's going to be a draw for both. Looking likely at this stage that both will be playing in the Championship next season, which will be a little bit more exciting, I think, for both teams. It's probably more towards their levels. I would assume the Socceroos in general are probably a mid-table Championship team, and then the All Whites are probably a bottom-table Championship team, maybe just surviving relegation. We will see next season. However, we've also got the excitement of the World Cup to come forward as we progress into our second match of the season. The Socceroos again starting with 3 at the back, and New Zealand playing that 4-4-2 formation that we saw earlier in the season. Without further ado, they've kicked things off here, ladies and gentlemen. 15 minutes played, the All Whites having all the shots so far, and 50% of the possession. As the first highlight of the match falls to New Zealand, a throw-in from out wide falls to Sarpreet Singh, who puts it a beautiful cross into Ryan Thomas, who nails the header and puts it past the Socceroos goalkeeper in Matthew Ryan. New Zealand lead 1-0 with an emphatic header from a forward throw position as Kakache plays it to McCowett. McCowett lays it back to Singh, who puts it on a dime for Ryan Thomas. The defending opposition in Smith were unable to put enough pressure on the attacker from the New Zealand nation. New Zealand leading 1-0 at home here, ladies and gentlemen. Again, a throw from a similar position. McCowett plays it back to Singh. Very, very similar to Ryan Thomas again. Copy and paste that play this season. Ryan Thomas again. Sarpreet Singh, the feeder. Ryan Thomas with the header. Similar position, similar highlight, actually, ladies and gentlemen. The 4 players involved, Kakachi, McCowett, Singh, and Ryan Thomas, who nails it into the back post. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Ryan Thomas with 10 goals this season. A pretty good return for a player normally known as a central midfielder. As New Zealand takes a 2-0 lead into the half, can Australia come out with anything in the second half? Nothing to suggest they can so far, as a third highlight from a throw-in falls New Zealand's way. Kakache has the ball in his back third. Can he find a pass? Plays a long ball to Ryan Thomas, sitting on a hat-trick, to the advancing keeper, slots it past him, and scores his 3rd goal of the season. Fantastic. 3rd goal of the match. What a hat-trick. He's the hat-trick hero today, ladies and gentlemen. 2 assists for Sarpreet Singh, 1 to Liberato Kakache. Beautiful through ball. Ryan Thomas with no one advancing on him. Slots it perfectly past the keeper. 3 goals today, 50 minutes played. More to come potentially, as we're yet to see a highlight for Australia, with the potential for this being their first, as they have the ball in the centre of the park. Look forward to McLaren, back to Rogic, who puts a nice ball forward, but it's unable to beat the New Zealand defence. The clearing pass by Costa Barbarouses was poor, as Australia had the ball in the centre of the park. Through ball to McLaren, and it's a goal! Australia have an answer to the New Zealand defence. A beautiful through ball by Rogic finds McLaren, and they are able to reduce the deficit to just 1 point here, ladies and gentlemen. Some nice interplay between the attacking midfielder and Aaron Moy, and it is a very, very clever finish past the advancing Maranovic. 40 minutes to play. The Socceroos are back in this match. 2-goal deficit at this stage. Can they find an answer? We shall see. As Australia has yet another highlight here, ladies and gentlemen. A clearance made by Chris Wood. The Australians have the ball in the front third at the moment. Dejanik, can he find a pass? He's got a player out wide in Karacic, who has the ball out wide. He finds a cross. New Zealand able to defend it smartly. The ball falls to Ryan Thomas in the front third. He plays a through ball, but it is cleared easily by the Australian defence. Jurek has the ball. Does he have a pass? He does to Holland in the centre. Rogic plays a through ball again. Copy and paste. McLaren scores his second. from 3-0 down after 50 minutes. It's now 3-2 after 61 minutes. The Australians are putting on a fight here, ladies and gentlemen. As we skip the highlight, Kerwin has the ball out wide, throws it into Costa Barbarouses, who puts a beautiful ball into the park, but Rogic is able to clear. It's again copy and paste. Rogic through a ball to McLaren. Can he score? No, he can't. Yes, he can. No, he can't. Double block by Maranovic as he is forced wide. Irvin has the ball out wide. He passes it back to Karacic. Diving header, scrambling defence here by the New Zealanders. Holland has the ball. Djuric again has a shot. Maranovic diving to his top corner, manages the save. Australia throwing the kitchen sink at New Zealand right now. New Zealand don't seem to have an answer for the bombarding Australian attack. Wave after wave is flying at the New Zealanders right now, as New Zealand tries to change things up and put Thomas in a deeper position on Sam Sutton into the attack, into the central midfield position. Can something happen here, ladies and gentlemen? New Zealand has it again, yet another throw on the front third. Finds Clayton Lewis, finds Chris Wood, unable to get the ball into the park. Chris Wood lays it back. Kerwin's got the ball, he puts it in smartly into the middle of the circle. McGarry finds Kakache. Can he find the cross? He can. Chris Wood at the back post, surely! And that's his 19th goal of the season. Is that enough for New Zealand to see the win? Chris Wood emphatically finishes at the back post after a clever cross in by Liberato Kakache from the edge of the box. Beautiful ball, beautiful play. New Zealand look like they're home after a scare in the last 20 minutes as Australia mounted what they could do as a comeback. As we're into the last final 5 minutes here, New Zealand have yet another highlight. Kerwin has the ball out wide, puts a smart cross in. Australia clears, and Sam Sutton has a shot from outside the bar, whiskers past the post. New Zealand team looking the more likely for a next goal here, ladies and gentlemen, as McLaren has the ball in the centre of park, plays it wide to Smith. Smith attacking the New Zealand goal. Does he have a cross on him? He does, but it is cleared and picked up by the New Zealand goalkeeper in Maranovic, who clears it long. Finds Chris Wood, who falls to Thomas. Thomas now through on the keeper. Does he have a shot? He does. It's his fourth, ladies and gentlemen. He scored 4 goals against the Australians. Incredible strike again by Ryan Thomas. That was an incredible emphatic finish, bending into the back corner. Chris Wood, all he does, holding up strong header. Ryan Thomas with it all to do, beats his man, charges at the goalkeeper and nets it beautifully. Curling effort into the back corner. That is New Zealand 5, Australia 2. And that's the end of the match, ladies and gentlemen. New Zealand take a priceless victory home, as they are the top team, or they increase to 18th position on the ladder. Probably not enough to save them from relegation. What we will do, ladies and gentlemen, is we will simulate the rest of this season, and then we'll analyse the top goal scorers for both the All Whites and the Socceroos as we look forward into the second season of this little experiment. And ladies and gentlemen, that brings a close to the end of our first season of our experiment, with confirmation that both the New Zealand All Whites and Australian Socceroos are relegated after 38 matches. I would argue that the Australians were the worst of the two teams. They have been the loser this season between the two nations, both in points scored and in the 2 games between each country. Australia did manage 2 wins, one away win against Newcastle United, which would have been quite scary for the Newcastle team, only closely surviving relegation, and only the 5 draws and only 11 points. Quite disappointing for the Australians. Let us look at their players and see who played and who did not over the season. As you can see, if we look at their squad, it looks largely settled in a lot of their main players. Jamie McLaren looks like their leading goal scorer with only the 7 goals this season, which is quite disappointing for their leading star striker. If we look at their transfers, did any players come in or did any players go out? It looks like Cameron Burgess is leaving to join Sydney FC, which is interesting given their transfer embargo, as well as young Italiano, who spent 4 games on loan into Belgium. That is all for the Australians so far, ladies and gentlemen. We'll quickly look at the New Zealanders. What we have here is a pretty settled starting lineup, as well, as you can imagine, ladies and gentlemen. Star players in Libby Kakache, Chris Wood and Ryan Thomas playing the majority of matches. As you can look, the goals are much stronger than the Australians. 2 players in particular leading the way for the All Whites in Chris Wood and Ryan Thomas. Ryan Thomas, the hat-trick hero, or the 4-goal hero against the Socceroos. classic performance that he'll remember forever with his 12 goals across the season and 4 assists. Well, Chris Wood has his best haul in the Premier League so far with 16 goals in the league and 21 overall. Fantastic performance by the All Whites in what is probably their best expected performance. What we'll do, ladies and gentlemen, is we will progress into the beginning of the second season, and I'll see you there as both the All Whites and the Socceroos look to take on the English Championship. I wonder how they'll perform. What are your predictions? I would assume they'll both survive the Championship, given that they've just got the quality across the park. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, just before the second season of this experiment, just confirming that the World Cup won't actually be played until the season after this one, which will probably be the end of this first video as we go through the first 2.5 seasons of these 2 games. As you can see here, both the All Whites and the Socceroos are in the English Championship. If we look at the season preview, interestingly, the All Whites are, as I predicted, towards the bottom end of the Championship, but expected to survive relegation, just with the Socceroos in the mid-table / top table positions, probably just as I expected as we enter this next round. If we quickly look at the transfers, what we've seen is that there appears to have been some players going out and an additional player leaving, with Brandon Borrello set to leave the Socceroos, having only played 22 matches last year. I would say that's probably a mistake. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep him on their books. And we look at the New Zealanders. What do we have here? There's been absolutely no transfer activity. Exactly the same squad that they had last year. Not surprising given the embargoes. However, Costa Barbarouses wants a new contract. It'll be interesting to see how the team goes this season, particularly the likes of Chris Wood, who are probably a class above for this level. So we're expecting to see both Chris and where is the man? Ryan Thomas to score lots of goals this season. Interesting to see how Winston Reid's body holds up, given he is susceptible to quite a few injuries, only making the 24 appearances last year, given his body cannot hold up as well as it could in the past. If we look at the appearances this season, the first match isn't until the 1st of January 2022. Interestingly, the same day as the third cup draw, so that might actually move. And then, that might be the second game of the season. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, just looking here quickly. Where is the Socceroos? Playing them early days. The third match of the season's against the Socceroos, which will be enjoyable to watch. New Zealand playing away again in the first match. That's the first thing that we'll look at. I'll see you there shortly. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. There's been 2 matches played. Both the All Whites and the Socceroos picking up 1 win and 1 loss to start the season as we enter this third round all-important match between the two. I think it could shape up to be quite telling in the scope of the season as we progress to this match. Quite excited to see how New Zealand and Australia could perform in this match here, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. The teams are out for a warm-up. Very nice by both teams here. Just doing their warm-ups, getting their stretches done. Last-minute communication between both teams as they look to take the field here. Huddle, final words between both parties, and the match is off again. Australia's changed up their formation this season. 4 at the back this season with 2 holding midfielders in Moy and Luongo. Does All Whites change any formation? No, they stick with the 4-4-2, ladies and gentlemen, with Wood and Thomas being the key men up front. Let us see how things will progress this match as the Socceroos have the early advantage with their performance here, with an expected goal difference slightly above the Kiwis. However, no highlights yet in the first 34 minutes. A disappointing start to this tense match. Again, it is a throw-in that New Zealand starts the highlights with. Unfortunate throw-in does not beat the first man, as Smith in the Australian team puts a clever through ball to Mobile in the left corner. Through ball in, Jurek at the header, and it's a goal, ladies and gentlemen. Jurek gets up in the box for his first of the season and puts it past Marinovic to lead 1-0 at home against the Kiwis. Poor throw-in by New Zealand is taken and pounced upon by the Australians. A clever ball in by Mobile to Jurek in the centre, who guides it past the opposition keeper. Pajanka in defence, the young man isn't able to step up as New Zealand looks to be at 6s and 7s in this second highlight. Rogic makes a through ball that is poorly placed to Aluma, who is unable to find a partner. Moy to Rogic in the centre. Australia with the ball. A beautiful through ball to Mobile, who was unable to beat the keeper, unable to bend it at that back post. Australia the better of the teams in that first half with a deserving lead into the second. Does New Zealand have an answer for the Australian first half? Let us see what they can do. Do they have an option off the bench? No defensive options. Might be an injury crisis happening right now as New Zealand puts in a corner that is easily dealt with by the Australians. Stamanic with the ball at the back to Tuiluma, who plays a through ball into Chris Wood. Chris Wood unable to knock it down to a teammate. Singh on the scramble picks it up on the left-hand side, plays in a through ball to Wood. Wood guides it at the keeper, and it's a mistake by Ryan. He lets it through his legs, and Chris Wood scores his first of the season. A calamity at the back by the Socceroos. Let's watch that again. Sarpreet Singh wins the ball, runs it down the left wing, plays in a peach of a cross to Chris Wood, who just toe pokes it straight at Matt Ryan, who lets it go between his legs, and it is 1-1, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Wood lucky with his first of the season. Game on at 1-1 here, ladies and gentlemen. What new excitement will we get in the final 30 minutes? Will there be another twist of the fates? Or will it be another 1-1 draw in the Socceroo home? Final 10 minutes, is there another highlight in this match to speak of? So far, the New Zealanders with the one real opportunity, and they've claimed it already with a goal. 3 minutes left to play. Is there something else to happen? Doesn't look like it, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like both teams leave unhappy with the 1-1 draw. Chris Wood with his first of the season. That will give him confidence going forward. As we look at the table, both the Socceroos and the All Whites sitting mid-table, comfortable in this league. As we look to see when their next match will be, ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe it's until quite a lot further in the season. From memory, early January. Yes, there we go. Saturday the 1st of January. I will skip to then, ladies and gentlemen. Where do you think both teams will be sitting for the next match? Put it in the comments below. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with the Socceroos, with a piece of news just before the new match, with the Socceroos hiring a new manager. As you can see at the bottom, it says here that they've been disappointing so far in the championship and find themselves only in 14th position. However, the new Dutch manager might be able to instill a new culture within the team. So if we quickly look at the championship ladder after 25 games played, we can see that the All Whites are sitting pretty in 12th spot, probably above their pre-season expectations, and the Socceroos disappointing a couple of places below them. But as you can see, it's very, very tight heading into this next match, which will be quite exciting between the two teams. Obviously, we'll attend the match, the All Whites with their 8 wins so far, but a lot of draws, as we saw last season with the Socceroos with far less draws, but the same number of wins. So without further ado, let us kick off into this match as we progress a little bit further. Sorry, just wanted to show you that news. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the teams are warming up. The All Whites early onto the field, putting through their pre-match rituals, as well as the Socceroos. As we play the second match of the season, All Whites at home. Can they repeat last year's heroics with another victory at home against their arch rivals? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the Socceroos playing 4 at the back, change of formation again. The All Whites sticking to their 4-4-2 formation. The first highlight here goes to the Socceroos with a throw-in in the left corner. Rogic has the ball, but well tackled by Barbarousis. Being marshalled in the centre of park. Oh, that was close to a penalty there. Was it a penalty? Oh, what a terrible back pass. What was that? Who was that? Was that Bell? What was he thinking? Passes it straight to the advancing striker, who has an easy shot straight past the keeper. Let's watch that again, ladies and gentlemen. So Bell makes a good tackle. Lot of pressure on the ball. Elliott dives in, trying to give away a penalty, and Ball just plays it straight to McLaren, who has an easy shot there. Disappointing stuff, ladies and gentlemen. As we skip the rest of the highlight, can New Zealand step up and take over their arch rivals? As you can see in the live ladder, this is enough to put the Socceroos in front if they are managing to take this priceless away victory. As we can see, the Socceroos have the ball in the centre of park. Oh, a terrible ball by Aaron Moy, but it is well marshalled and picked up by the Socceroos defence. Again, Australia unable to clear their lines. Ryan Thomas with the ball in the centre of the park. Back to Bell. Wide to Barbarousis. Does he have a cross? He does. Oh, Randall, unlucky. Blocked strike, which looked like it was sailing on target. On the counter here, Australia has the ball in the centre of the park. Fires it wide to Nabil on the left wing. Can he find a cross? Can he find a teammate? He's being well marshalled there by the right back, and it's an easy pickup by Maranovic in goals for New Zealand. Good to see Winston Reid in the back on the park after probably quite a few matches out injured. How long will his body hold up? That will be interesting to see. He has a lot of experience for this team. Interestingly, Chris Wood remains out for the New Zealand side. disappointing. And also, interestingly, they're deciding to play a youth goalkeeper on the bench rather than some of the New Zealand keepers. Clearly has a lot of potential and highly thought of by this New Zealand team, as Singh relaunches an attack down the left wing for New Zealand. Kakache with the ball now. Bell in that holding midfield position. Brays it wide to Elliott on the right back position. Flying up the wing, plays it to Barbarouses, who puts a good cross into Thomas, who flicks it back to Elliott on the right wing. A good ball in. Again, a blocked shot by Randall, right in front of the goal. Unlucky, I think, by the All Whites. Probably the better of that half by the highlights that we saw, but the Socceroos ahead from that early mistake by Bell, pounced on by McLaren. Again, the All Whites have a highlight here in the centre of park with Barbarouses making a good run. Sarpreet Singh with the ball out wide. Can he find a cross? Can he find a teammate? He can. Oh, and again, Randall blocked by the defender. Sauter and Dejanek at the back having a fantastic performance by the Socceroos. New Zealand not having a chance in front of goal. Singh puts in a cross here, ladies and gentlemen. Well cleared, well marshalled by the Australian defence as Barbarouses runs to clear. Elliott with the ball now puts it nicely into Sutton in the centre of park. Tuiluma in defence, and that's the end of the highlight. Winston Reid not performing very strongly, but you can see in that Australian backline, Dejanek having an outstanding game, 7.4 rating so far. Does New Zealand have an answer? Clearly with the most shots on target and most shots on goals, throwing the kitchen sink at the Socceroos at the moment. Can they break down this well-marshalled defence? Elliott with the throw-in, unable to make a clearance. Bale with the ball, back to Stensonis in the middle of park. He finds McCowan out wide. Does McCowan have the trickery? No, he doesn't. Plays it back to Elliott, who puts in an early cross blocked by the defence. New Zealand able to retain possession here. Playing it nicely in the centre of the park here, ladies and gentlemen. Can they find the ball to unlock the defence? Randall one-on-one with the keeper. The keeper spills it, and he's offside. He's offside, ladies and gentlemen. That was the equalising goal. Mistake this time by the Australian goalkeeper, unable to be punished by the New Zealand defence. Oh, very, very close, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very close. I would argue that the Australians there played at the ball, so he would have been onside. However, it is not to pass. Will New Zealand regret that mistake later? Guagas has the ball here out wide for Australia. Does he have a pass? He passes it back to his right back. Does he have a pass? No. Singh able to block any potential attack there. But again, Australia is able to clear their lines. Plays a nice ball into McGree. Plays it one-on-one with McLaren, and he has his second of the evening. That looks to be game over for the All Whites. The Australian fans can start to relax. They've got an away win, a priceless away win against their arch rivals. A strong performance away from home, built off their strong defence as they play some nice interplay in the centre of the park. McGree with a beautiful ball to McLaren, who slots it past the advancing keeper. New Zealand will be disappointed with their performance here today, ladies and gentlemen. Kakache with the ball in the centre of the park, who loses out to Smith. Smith on the counter for Australia, marching it through the centre of the field. Can he find a teammate with his cross? He's now in the final third. Well marshalled out wide. Delightful cross to the back post. Well cleared by the New Zealanders. Do the New Zealanders have an answer on the counter? No, they don't. The ball's nicely cleaned up at the back here by the Australians. Again, they've got the opportunity to launch a counter here. McLaren, was he going for his third? Gets marshalled out, but McGree has a shot, and it's well cleared by Maranovic. Maranovic, final chance here for New Zealand. Can they find a consolation goal? Final 2 minutes to play. They've got a throw-in out wide. Is there a last highlight here to watch, ladies and gentlemen? 1 minute left to play. Elliott with the throw-in. No, straight to an opposition player. Reid with the ball at the back. Can he find the pass? Launches it long to Randall, but no, Australian is able to clear as McGree launches a counter. Can he find a player? Beats one man. Can he find the pass? Looking to beat the second player. No, Bill Tuiloma goes in too hard, or what gives away the free kick, and that's probably it, ladies and gentlemen. Probably the end of the match, unless Australian can score a third and drive the knife into the poor New Zealand attack this evening. Maranovic claims the free kick, and that's the final whistle. That's two. It looks like Australia's done better this year. New Zealand won year one. Australia seems to win year two with the 2 matches played. What we'll do, ladies and gentlemen, is again we will skip to the end of the season to see where the 2 teams end up, and then, ladies and gentlemen, the big stuff. We'll skip to the end of the World Cup to see how these 2 teams progress. Alrighty, let's see how the teams did in the championship at the end of their second seasons. Did they both survive? I would assume so. Where are we? Sky Bet Championship. As expected, the All Whites battling for relegation sort of in the bottom half of the table, and the Socceroos a mid-table team. From that emphatic victory away from home, the Socceroos were able to kick on with their new manager and finish the season with 18 wins, which is very impressive. With the All Whites, continue to draw and scramble some wins to maintain their survival. As we look into both teams, what is of interest is how well they did in the Cup. That was a terrible run of form from the New Zealanders between January and February, only getting 2 points there. Quite disappointing. Probably was along with their run of injuries that we saw, losing both Chris Wood and Ryan Thomas for that second match against the Socceroos. An early exit in both the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup for the All Whites. If we quickly jump to their team, and we can see here from their appearances, Chris Wood still managed to get 36 appearances. He'd be quite disappointed with only the 16 goals this season. Ryan Thomas there, unable, similarly to last season, double digits. Not many other goal scorers. There's Jack Quigley, who must have been a generated player, has done quite well in his second season for the All Whites. As we can look down the list, Jesse Randall seemed to get quite a few game times as the young player. 26 caps for the championship squad. Winston Reid again carrying a lot of injuries. Be interesting to see how long he stays around for and how long his form can last. I thought Ben Waine might have kicked on this season, but he was unable to play that many matches. Interestingly, they've sold Dalton Wilkins, which I think would have been disappointing, unable to extend his contract. I thought he'd be a bright spark for their future. And that looks about it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's quickly look at the Australians to see how they did this season. If we jump across the Socceroos here, obviously a much better run. How did they go in the Cups? Again, equally falling early in the Carabao Cup. And again, in exactly the same spot in the FA Cup, both teams leaving Cup competitions early. The Australians had a very good final month, obviously picked up a lot of points to help them fly up the ladder. 4 of their wins coming in the final month, which is, a quarter of their victories, which is insane. If we look at their squad, how did they perform this season? Very settled backline, as you can see here. Their right back, central defender and goalkeeper playing over 40 matches in the starting lineup. Their goals, top goal scorer Jamie McLaren with 16 goals, of which he got at least 2 against the New Zealanders, and then sort of a good distribution amongst players. Any bright young talent getting lots of game time. Let us have a look here. Azani, young player, lots of potential, never able to step up in real life so far this season, but he played nearly 40 matches. Some other good performances by Riley McGree, potential for the future. And Wayne Lee, is that a generated player? Yes, it is, playing 19 games. So what we'll do, ladies and gentlemen, is we'll look at the World Cup. We know that Australia's already qualified. Has New Zealand managed to qualify? Has the benefit of playing together got them to the next round? It doesn't look like it, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like New Zealand has not managed to qualify for the World Cup. Disappointing for that nation. Okay, what we'll do is we'll jump to the end of the World Cup, and then we'll quickly jump to the end of the next World Cup, and we'll do a quick review of how both teams have done across the 4 years. Have they got any wins? Have they won any cups? Are they still both in their championship? Ladies and gentlemen, the impossible happened. The winners of the World Cup was Jamaica. I don't think I'd ever thought I'd live to see the day where they won the World Cup. Incredible performance there, led by their leading goal scorer in Russian Hepburn Byrne, playing in Cyprus leagues, who's only managed to score, not too many goals in the Cyprus leagues. You wouldn't expect him to be the leading goal scorer in the World Cup. But let's look and see how each team did in these stages. If we jump to all the groups, in Group A, Jamaica, with a relatively easy group, was able to top the group. Then we've got Spain and the Ivory Coast progressing with, surprisingly, both South Korea and England missing out. Terrible World Cup by the English there. The next group down, another tough group, Italy and Canada missing out, with Brazil and Senegal going through. This is an incredible World Cup so far. A lot of strong teams out early. Then Group E, Holland and the US progressing, unsurprisingly, with Saudi Arabia and then maybe Denmark missing out. Germany and Mali progressing. Croatia misses out, surprisingly. And then the big group, the one important group, Australia falling quite in the early hurdle against Belgium, Uruguay, and Australia, managing their only draw against Switzerland, and with a terrible goal difference at the end of the day. If we quickly look at that match by Australia in that World Cup, where did they go? It was their last match of the World Cup, nothing to play for. They managed to draw in that match, with Goodwin, Rogic and Duncan scoring the goals. If we look at that Australian squad, how many of them are represented from our club Socceroos? Oh, less than you think. Surprisingly, they've let Harry Souter leave to Fulham, but Aaron Moy, a large part of their first 11 based in the English Socceroos team. But to me, surprisingly, they've let a lot of players go in the off-season. Trent Sainsbury, Jackson Irvin, Daniel Silva, all ex-Socceroos club teams that have been let go by the Socceroo club. Surprisingly, Australia didn't do very well in that World Cup. So what we're going to do now is we're going to progress to the end of the next World Cup cycle. What we want to know is whether a club that is playing a lot of whether club form can progress into national form. You know, the relationships built in the training ground, in the game-to-game situation, having a lot of Kiwis, a lot of Australians together, will that be beneficial in their progression to the World Cup? Can New Zealand qualify for a World Cup? Can Australia or New Zealand get out of the group? That's what we're trying to find out here, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you in the next video in 1,200 or so days. See you then. Hopefully, both teams remain in the championship. It'll be interesting to see how many of their squad remains to be Australians and New Zealanders. My theory is that, based on what we've seen, particularly from the Socceroos, a lot are going to be moving on. I wonder who's going to win the next World Cup. I mean, Jamaica winning this one's incredible. Who knows? I mean, Southgate's now quit the English job after a terrible, terrible World Cup. It will be fascinating to see.
Thousands of tears later.
Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, the end of 2026, the second cycle of the World Cup. And finally, England to have a second World Cup victory, winning 4-1 in the final. If we look at these beautiful results, a 4-1 emphatic victory in the final sees England through to their second ever World Cup victory. A long time between drinks for the English nation. Unfortunately, Jamaica unable to make up for their fantastic performance 4 years previously. If we look through the semi-final stages, Italy, Austria, England and the USA moving down to the quarters. Again, no Australia or New Zealand in these rounds so far. Quickly flying through, Jamaica doing well to make it to the third round, trying to defend their title from 4 years previous. Can we see all the groups? Did New Zealand in fact qualify? They did indeed, losing both matches to Brazil and Austria, but however qualifying for the prestigious series of events. Can we look at these players and see how many would have been in the New Zealand squad to start with? Paulson was a New Zealand all-white, however was unable to make any appearances for the squad, but has made it into the New Zealand national team. Nando and Dalton Wilkins, both New Zealand all-whites, however moving on earlier in their careers, as well as Pajanka moving on earlier in his career. Libero Kakache moved a few times, going to the heights of Borussia Dortmund before ending up at Olympique Marseille. Joe Bell, again another all-white who remains in the English leagues. Mario Semenich and Jesse Randall, the only two all-whites remaining. Very interesting stuff there. Glad that they qualified for that World Cup. Again, it is a larger World Cup than previous, so was more likely. However, Australia also made the World Cup and equally did not perform very well. You'd have liked them to have beaten South Africa or gotten a point against South Africa in that Group I match. Let's see their squad and see how many still play for the Socceroos. One there in the right back position looks to be the only player. However, interestingly enough, Daniel Azani now plays for his arch rivals in the All Whites. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us look at the performance of the All Whites for across the 4 years. Oh, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. They made it into the Premier League. In this final season, they came third in the Sky Bet Championship and won promotion through the playoffs. If we look at their history, I believe the last season, or we watched the second season, so they got 19th in the Premier League, followed by 18th in the Championship, then 20th in the Championship, 13th in the Championship, 8th in the Championship, and then third in the championship to be promoted into the top division. Sean Dyche still the manager of the squad. If we look at their overall best 11, how many Kiwis are in the squad? Chris Wood leads the line. Unfortunately, Ryan Thomas does not appear as a second striker, having been ousted by Jack Quigley, who I think from memory was a regen player who seems to have done quite well in that squad. If you look at the 11, you've got Kiwis across the backline except for Tyus Brown. The Kiwis across the middle. So you've got, of the 11, 8 are Kiwis. That's looking good. It's exactly what we want to see. Let us see if they have won any competitions in recent memory. They got third place in the Sky Bet Championship, as we discussed, to get promotion. Their under 18s did quite well in the third year. However, they didn't win any cup competitions of note during this competition. If we look at the top goal scorer being a Kiwi, Chris Wood with 57, doing quite well as expected. If we just look at his performance, how many seasons did he stay for? After we started the match, only the 3 seasons, scoring double-figure goals in each of his 3 seasons before moving into the German leagues and having a slow, meandering decline to his ability as he ages. And then Ryan Thomas, is he still at the peak of his powers? He is playing in the first and second divisions in Spain before going back to Belgium, perhaps for his final swan song in European football. Fantastic. I think New Zealand qualifying, coming back into the Premier League is unexpected. I would have thought they would go the other way. Without further ado, let us look at the Australians. Where did they perform? Oh, interesting enough, they got promoted in third place as well the season before. So the 2 seasons we saw were the 20th place position in the Premier League, the 12th in the Championship, 21st in the Championship. That was quite a poor season, lucky to survive. 14th, 3rd, and then last in the Premier League. Again, poor performance in the Premier League. Probably weren't able to perform as they would have liked. If we look at their players, how many of the originals are there? Just the one, it looks like. Interesting enough. Fran would have clocked quite a few appearances now across the 6, 7 or so seasons, playing the whole time, except for the Premier League season, perhaps finally ousted as not a Premier League right back. If we look at their overall best 11, how many Australians make it? Jamie McLaren leading the line there, only with the 36 goals. He looks like he stayed for 3 or 4 seasons before making his way. Look, yeah, there we go, made 3 or 4, played 3 seasons, and then moved to Germany and Greece, respectively. Who else do we have in that 11? Brad Smith, Sauter, Jezinek, and Karakak, and Ryan across the back line, all Australians, with only Aaron Moy across the middle, and Jamie McLaren up front. Tom Rogic makes the substitutes with 108 appearances. Leading appearance holder, obviously, there, Fran. Matt Ryan made quite a lot. He obviously only recently moved to Arsenal 3 seasons ago as their replacement, as their number 2 goalkeeper. And then we had Brad Smith making a number of appearances across his time with the Socceroos, playing across 4 seasons, every match across those 4 seasons before making his movement across. Let us see if they managed to win any competitions. If we look at their competition history here, third place in the Sky Bet Championship looks to be their best finish across the 3 years. So none of the teams won any cup competitions. Their World Cup performances didn't seem to improve. I think it's sort of safe to say that this experiment didn't add anything to either the All Whites or to the Socceroos. You'd assume both nations in a wider World Cup qualifier wider World Cup in 2026 with further teams, with Oceania for New Zealand getting a full spot. You would assume both New Zealand and Australia would qualify. I do not think anything was added by these players playing and training together, but I'd love to know your thoughts. Please leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you're thinking, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.
Ooh.